Hello everyone, welcome to chemistry class. We are today beginning the chapter number 2, physical and chemical changes. In this chapter we will be discovering and we will be learning about the different types of changes that are occurring around us. They can be reversible and irreversible changes, physical and chemical changes, and lastly we will learn about exothermic and endothermic changes. Today's class we will learn about the reversible and irreversible and the physical changes. At the last of this video, we'll be going through the book exercises of this chapter. In the second part of the video, that will be for the next week, we will cover the remaining chapter and as well as we will have the question answers of this chapter. Let us begin today's class. The first topic here is changes around us. All over around us, something or the other is happening, that is actually what is called as change. So change is an integral, it is an important part of our nature and they are taking place all the time. Each and every moment some kind of changes are happening all around us. Some common examples are given here: the melting of ice into water, or its opposite, that is freezing of water, or we can say the ripening of fruit, the digestion of food, and the growth of plants and animals. There can be many more such kind of examples. So whatever is happening around us each and every moment is a kind of change, and these changes can be classified or grouped into various categories in different method. The first important method we can classify the changes is reversible and irreversible changes. What are these? Let us have a discussion on this. First of all, the reversible changes. The definition is given in the first line. What is a reversible change? Is when the opposite change can be brought about by reversing the condition. Reversing means when opposite conditions are given to a particular change, then that reaction or that particular change will become opposite. For example, ice converts to water. On being heated, ice melts down and we get water. Again, same water, if we are freezing now, earlier we were doing what? We were heating. Its opposite is freezing, that is on cooling. On cooling, what will happen? Ice will again form. So ice and water both are interconvertible. Ice can convert into water and water can convert into ice. So such kind of change is a reversible change. Another example is given here: the glowing of an electric bulb. We can turn off an electric bulb, it will produce light, and easily again we can turn the switch off. So it can be done any number of times. On the passing of the electric current, the electric bulb will start glowing and it will turn off. This is a reversible change. Another example is given: heating of electric iron or heater. There also these all are reversible changes. Next, now just opposite of this is irreversible change. The definition of this is: here a change is irreversible when opposite cannot be brought about by reversing the condition. Means the other reaction will not be reversed again. If we change the condition also, then the reaction will not reverse there. For example, milk can change into curd. Easily we can convert milk into curd, but if we are having curd and we want to convert it back into milk, then it is not possible. So this type of change is irreversible. Another example is sugar gets curdled. That is, if we heat sugar will convert into black mass. That is actually what is it is actually black carbon will form. All the sugar molecules will burn there, it will produce CO2 gas and H2O will release outside, and what will be left behind will be black mass of carbon only. And from that burned sugar, that is canned sugar only, you cannot get sugar back again. So that is irreversible change. So reversible and irreversible, two kind of changes are there. First category or first type of change we have learned. Let us move to some more examples which are given for irreversible changes. Any kind of burning, it can be coal, wood, paper, air, kerosene, petrol, diesel, anything which is burned there, it is all irreversible changes. After burning, what you will get is ashes, that is carbon only. We cannot get the material back. If we, for example, if you take wood, a piece of wood, a log of wood, if you are burning, we will get ashes there, black colored mass, that is carbon will form. If anyhow you think that we can convert these ashes back into wood, then it is not possible. Next is photosynthesis in plants. Plants absorb sunlight using in the chlorophyll. This reaction is going on in the leaves, in the green part of the plants, and plants prepare their food. So photosynthesis is the process where it is done. So This is also irreversible reaction. We cannot make opposite of this. Another one that is going on in our body is digestion. Whatever food we eat, it is digested and later on it produces energy. From the energy we cannot get the food, but food can give us energy through digestion. So this is an irreversible change. Similarly, growth of the plants can grow, their body size can grow, shape can increase, shape can change, but the size cannot become smaller. So that is, body can grow upwards, that is a irreversible change. All these are examples of irreversible changes. Next one, now we are having the second type of changes that are called as desirable change and undesirable change. Desire means what? Desire means something we feel that it should be done. So let us read their definition is given. Thus some changes are useful to us and therefore desirable. Example is given: ripening of fruit. A raw fruit we cannot eat, but a ripe fruit is to be eaten. It is tasty and it is useful to us. So this kind of changes, ripening of fruit is an example of desirable change. The growth of the fruit, growth of the plants, growth of the living beings, and also you can say changes in cooking. Raw vegetables we cannot cook, we cannot eat, but after cooking we can have them. So these all changes are desirable changes because they are useful to us. But there are certain changes which are harmful to us. So those changes which we avoid, which we don't want to happen, such kind of changes are undesirable change. For example, rusting of iron. Iron is a strong metal, but if it gets rusted, that metal will become weak. So rusting of iron is undesirable change. Next one is spoiling of food. Food we can eat, but if it has spoiled, we cannot eat it. If we eat spoiled food, we will become sick. So that is, spoiling of food is an undesirable change. Some other examples are given here, like earthquakes, cyclones, volcanic eruptions. All these cause damage on a large scale. Many people die, many huge loss of the properties done. So these all are undesirable changes in our surrounding. So all the changes can be classified into desirable and undesirable changes. Two methods we have seen for types of change. One is reversible, irreversible. Second, desirable and undesirable changes. Another very important method we can classify or give the types of changes is physical and chemical changes. Today in this video we'll learn about the physical changes. Let us come now and have an understanding of physical changes. Let us have a look at the definition here. What is a physical change? It is a change in which no new substances are formed and which can be reversed by reversing the condition. So here I have marked two things in this definition. These are actually two important conditions for physical change to happen. In simple words, we can break this definition into two parts. Physical change is that change in which nothing new is forming there. First condition is nothing new is formed, no new substance is formed. And the second important condition is the change is reversible. Just now we have seen reversible changes. So all the reversible changes are only physical change only. So both these conditions you have to remember when you are considering any reaction or any change is physical change or not. For physical change, both the things should be fulfilled. No new substance should be formed and the reaction or the change should be reversible. For example, ice can convert into water and water can convert back into ice. So this is a reversible reaction. And also no new substance is formed in this change. Ice is containing what? Ice is containing water molecules, that is H2O, and water itself also contain H2O molecules. So both are having same substance only. If ice convert into water, no new substance is formed. Similarly, when water turns back into ice, there also no new substance is formed. The reaction is reversible also. So thus such kind of changes are physical changes. We will have now one by one discussion on various examples of physical change. Remember, all these physical changes are also reversible in nature. First one is glowing of heater or a bulb. So when we turn on the electric supply to a heater or bulb, they start working. The bulb is starting to glow because of the electric current. But as the electric supply is turned off, that bulb will stop glowing. The glow will vanish away when the current is switched off. So such kind of change is reversible. Any number of times we can turn on and off the electric bulb. Such kind of changes are what? They are reversible. So first condition is fulfilled, that is reversible. Second thing now here, the glowing of the bulb. When we are glowing the bulb, light is produced, but nothing new is forming. The bulb still remains as such only, nothing new is there. So no new substance is formed. Both the condition fulfilled, that is why it is a physical change. Next one, the melting of a solid. Just now already I explained, ice converts to water. Here nothing new, no new substance is formed. First condition. Second thing, what? It is a reversible or not? That is obviously ice can convert to water, water can give back ice. So that is why melting of solid like ice, it is also a physical change. Next now is just now what we have seen, freezing of liquid. That is also both the conditions are fulfilled of substances and reversible change. Therefore, it is also a physical change. Already I have explained, so I'm not going into details here. Next one now is sublimation. This is also a kind of change. That is, here what is happening? The solid, generally the solid is converted into liquid, but in this case solid directly forms vapors. That is, solid gives us what? Solid gives us gas. Liquid is not formed in this case. So such kind of substances which convert directly into gas from solid, they are converted into gas. Such kind of changes are called sublimation. And this sublimation is shown where? It is shown in some substances like ammonium chloride. This is a chemical. Then camphor, naphthalene and iodine. These names you have to remember there. All these are the substances where sublimation is observed. And these substances where it is observed, they are called as what? They are called as sublimates. They are called as sublimate. For example, you can say iodine is a sublimate because sublimation takes place in iodine. Here an example, a photograph is given here for you. Here you can see here it is solid state of the chemical, and it is converting into vapor. So downside here is solid state, upward here it is gaseous state, that vapors are formed. And if these vapors, if we collect in a container and cool them down, all these vapors will convert back into solid. From that gas or from those vapors we can again make solid. So this reaction or this change is reversible in nature and no new substance is formed. Solid also contains that same chemical, gas also contains that same chemical. That means no new substance is formed. So both the conditions are fulfilled, reversible reaction and no new substance are formed. That is why sublimation is what? It is a physical change. Hope it is clear. Next now we will move on to this. Here one more example is given, dissolution of substance in a liquid. Dissolution means dissolving. So whenever we dissolve anything in a liquid, there are some terms are coming that we have to understand first. First thing, the substance that dissolve. For example, here we have some chemical here and we are dissolving this in water. The substance which we are dissolving, in chemical terms we will call it as solute. So first thing, solute. What is solute? Whatever substance we are dissolving. It is not compulsory to be solid. Any two liquids we can mix. So whatever substance we are dissolving, that is a solute. Another thing, the liquid in which the substance dissolve. In what thing we are adding this? That is called as solvent. So here this is the solvent. Second one is solvent here. First one is the substance which we have taken. Another one is the water here in this particular example that is shown here. So water for is this example only, it is solvent. Next one, but when we mix both these things, what will happen there? We will get solution. After dissolving, what we get, that is called as solution. So solute combines with solvent and what we get is called solution. These three definitions mark in a book and you have to remember these three terms: solute, solvent and solution. Now here we have this chemical here. This blue color chemical is called as copper sulfate. Just for your for understanding I am telling. When we have mixed this with water, we are getting the solution. This solution is copper sulfate solution because it is made from copper sulfate solid form. So that is solution. Now from this solution, if we heat this solution, on heating what will happen? On heating we can convert this back again into the solid form. All the water will evaporate from this. All the water will go upwards. It will evaporate, and what will be remaining there, that will be this solid form of that chemical will come back again, because it is a reversible reaction and also nothing new is formed. In this solute copper sulfate is there. In this solution there also copper sulfate is there. Chemical is not changing, nothing new is forming there. So no new substance is formed. Second condition was reversible. Both the conditions are fulfilled here. That is why this particular example or dissolving is a physical change. Apart from this, some more points are given for dissolution of substance in solid. When we are adding any solid in a liquid to dissolve, that liquid volume will not change. This you have to remember. When a solid dissolves in liquid, the volume of the liquid does not change. Volume means what? The space occupied by that liquid will not change. How much space that liquid is occupying, it will remain the same. Why it is happening? Because the solid molecules solid molecules are tightly packed and liquid molecules are loosely packed. Those solid molecules, when we are dissolving in liquid, those solid molecules break down and they occupy the space in between the liquid. Let me zoom in here. Now you see here solute, that is solid particles, these are tightly packed. The solvent, that is the liquid, this one is liquid, this one is solid. So liquid one are loosely packed, they are having some space in between. Whatever space is in between the solvent liquid molecules, that will be occupied by the solid ones. You can see here in this last diagram given here, you can see these blue dots, they are coming in between the red dots. The red dots are what? The red ones are the molecules of the liquid, and in between some spaces are there, some empty spaces are there where we are seeing these blue color dots. That means the solid molecules have come or occupied the space in between the liquid molecules. That is why we can say the liquid volume will not change. That is why it is happening. So that is the answer. We have seen the reason in this diagram. The solid molecule have broken down, and what they are doing, they are hiding themselves in the intermolecular space of the liquid. That is why what happens, the volume of the liquid does not change. Let us understand the dissolution of solid in liquid with the help of this activity here. In this activity they are proving the same point, then that on adding solid in a liquid, the volume of liquid does not change. So what they have done, they will take here in this, they have taken a glass tumbler or a beaker, you can take. In that we have to fill water. The water level we have to mark. Whatever amount of water is there, we will mark that with the help of a marker. After that we will add some sugar. On adding sugar, what will happen, the level of the water will rise. For example, we have this container here and we are having water in that. On adding sugar molecule, the sugar molecule is added in this. Whatever amount of sugar is coming there, then what will happen, the water will come upwards, little bit water will rise there. So this rise in water is coming because of the sugar that is added. After that, what we have to do, the third point you read, stir the sugar with a spoon. As the sugar dissolves, the water comes down. So then what we have to do is we have to mix or dissolve this sugar. After the sugar will dissolve, then what will happen, then all that water which had risen upward, it will come back to its original place where it was earlier. So again water will come back to its original place. So what this activity proves is, that is on dissolving the solid in liquid, the volume of the liquid does not change. Whatever space the liquid is taking before dissolving any solid is equal to the space taken after dissolving the solid. Here we have another example for physical change, that is evaporation and boiling of liquid. So when we are heating any liquid, it converts into gas, and that conversion is actually boiling of the liquid. On boiling, vapors are formed. Also in the sunlight, the water is converted into water vapor, that is evaporation is taking place. You would have observed, that is drying of cloth, that we will see in the following example also. Drying of cloth is also an example of physical change. You would have observed in the summer season, the clothes are drying faster earlier compared to the winter season. Why is it happening? That is happening because the temperature is more or high in the summer season compared to the winter season. That is why evaporation is faster. So let us read this here. What is given? A liquid evaporate at all temperature, but this evaporation will be fast. The temperature, as the temperature is rising, the evaporation will also increase, the rate of evaporation also increase. And at the boiling point, that is at 100 degrees Celsius in case of water, at that time, at the boiling point temperature, the liquid will evaporate fastest or quickest evaporation will be there. And this evaporation, the evaporation of liquid is giving us what? It is giving us vapors, and these vapors, if we are cooling them, then what is formed is water. That is what you have learned in the water cycle. In lower classes you would have done, water converts into ice, it goes upwards in the atmosphere, clouds are formed, and there what is happening, vapors are cool and they come back in the form of rain, they come back down onto the water in the form of water on the earth. So this is all what is going on, and this is a reversible reaction, because evaporation and boiling is a reversible reaction and nothing new is formed. Water or water vapor, both are H2O molecules only, so nothing new is formed. That is why we can say evaporation is an example of physical change. Evaporation and boiling is a physical change. Not only for water, other chemicals like alcohol, ether, we can evaporate or boil them, and again they can be converted into the liquid form. All these are examples of physical change. The last one, as I already told, is drying of clothes. This is an example of physical change. Wet clothes we can spread out in the open, and the water which is in those clothes, it will evaporate and the clothes will get dried. Now this process is reversible and nothing new is forming. That is why drying of cloth is also an example of physical change. So today we have learned the different types of changes. First was reversible and irreversible. Then we have seen desirable, undesirable changes. Lastly, we have seen about the physical changes. Let us now move on to the book exercise of chapter number 2. Here all the answers have been mentioned. First is choose the correct option. You can note these answers in your textbook. Next one we have here the fill in the blanks and the true and false statements. Now after this exercise part, we will now see the answers of the revision assignment, the test paper that was given the previous week. Let us have a discussion of the answers here. The correct answers for the revision assignment. First question is choose the correct option. Which of the following substance is an element? Oxygen, water, sand or carbon dioxide? So the correct answer is oxygen. Remaining three are not the elements, they are compounds. Next, ice melts at 0 degrees Celsius, water freezes at. So water also freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. The melting point of ice is equal to the freezing point of water. Next, C part, thermal expansion is maximum in case of gases and minimum in case of solid. So answer is third option, gases. Which of the following is a compound? Carbon dioxide, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur. The correct answer is carbon dioxide. The rest three are elements. Which of the following can be called as fluid, solid, liquid, gas, or both second and third? The correct answer is fourth, because liquids as well as gas both are having the molecules which can move. That is why liquids can flow and gases can also flow. Both are fluids. The fill in the blanks now. First, matter exists in three states that we all know: solid, liquid and gas. The space anything occupies is called as volume. The melting point of a solid is same as the freezing point of liquid. The melting point of solid is always equal to the freezing point. Just we had one question in the MCQs also similar. The change in state from liquid to solid. So whenever liquid converts to solid, it is called freezing. The molecule of a compound is made up of atoms of two kinds. So if atoms are of different kind, then it is compound. If atoms are of same kind, then it is element. So the question is asking atoms of two kinds. Answer comes to be compound. Write true and false. Question 3. The greater the intermolecular space, the greater the cohesion. Answer is false, because if the space is more, then attraction will reduce. It will not become greater. So answer is false. Matter is made of small particles. The correct answer is false, because matter is made up of molecules, not atom. Matter is made up of molecules, and because of these molecules only we have intermolecular force and intermolecular space. The C part, a liquid has no fixed shape and no fixed volume. Yes, liquid has no fixed shape, but volume, no. Liquid has fixed volume. It will remain the same quantity. You take 1 liter water, it will remain 1 liter in a bottle or in a bucket. Its volume will not change, its shape can change. So answer is false. Next, now D part, substances that ordinarily exist in solid or liquid state are vapors in gaseous state. The correct answer is true. Here it is mentioned wrong. The answer is true. So for example, sulfur in solid state, if it converts to gaseous form, we will call sulfur vapors. We will not say sulfur gas. So if anything is in solid state, when it becomes gaseous, it is called vapor. Another example, like water becomes gas, we don't say water gas, we say water vapors. So if anything is in solid or liquid state, in gaseous form, it will be called as vapors. Next, now you'll see these questions here, 2 marks for each. What is the interconversion of states? The definition is simple. Whenever there is change of state of matter from one form to another form, it is called as interconversion of state. For example, solid change to liquid, liquid change to gas, and gas change to solid, and vice versa. So these are all interconversions of states. Next, now B part, name 2 substances that sublimes. So any 2 substances out of 4 that have been mentioned here: naphthalene, camphor, iodine and ammonium chloride. Any 2 you can write. Sublimation is what? Sublimation is the process when solid directly converts into gas without converting into liquid form. That is called sublimation, and these four substances are showing the sublimation. These are the ones. Next, C part, what forces hold atoms in a molecule and molecules in a matter. So atoms are held together by a chemical bond. In a molecule, atoms are joined together by chemical bond, whereas the molecules in matter is made of molecules, and those molecules are joined together or held together by intermolecular force. This is all the questions we have seen from the revision test. I hope you all have done well. If you have not done so, then you need to relook at the chapter, again watch the earlier videos of this chapter. Still any doubt is there, ask in the comment section.